The last video for today is about the perspective in international political economy. So I'm sure that you already discussed here in the class introduction to IPE, but let me review it by discussing our previous what you call it and the issues about why some countries become rich and while others still poor. So I'll use these presentations to help you to understand different kind of perspectives in international political economy, meaning that different ways of explaining the international economy, international trade, international finance. Okay, so what do you think? Why some countries become rich and while others still poor? I remember some of your submissions, assignments, means focusing in some of their strategy, their educations, others focusing on the institutions, others focus that actually some religions are more, what's it, supportive to modernizations, while others are very traditional that make people lag behind. So there are different ways of explaining the success of countries. But okay, let me talk with the main or to elaborate the main ideas, different main theories in political economy. The first is okay, so it's a theory of liberals, capitalism. So the ideas that okay, so countries can be successful if you have, in terms of economy, if you have free trade. So free trade allows individual countries to maximize their prosperity through specialization and comparative advantage. So okay, you understand about free trade, and you this is actually the main ideas behind the establishment of the Bretton Woods institutions, as the one that we discussed in the second video. So let me focus on what does it mean by specialization and comparative advantage. So specializations, these understandings that rather than you create everything by yourself, fulfilling your need by yourself, you create from what you produce from your food, your transportations, technology, everything by doing yourself. It's better if you specialize in certain thing. And for example, okay, you are agricultural countries, so you produce rice, produce wheat, or produce corn, everything, and then from that you can sell your agricultural products by your the technological tools, by plane, by phone, by laptop, everything from other countries who are specialized that from than you on that matter. So the economists believe that actually by having specializations is indeed will be more beneficial, more efficient, bring more benefit to not only one country but all the countries, and this is why having free trade is the situation or the condition that supportive to having free trade will create prosperity to all countries. And the second is comparative advantages from David Ricardo's the idea that so how if countries have same specializations, so do they can do they still be able to get the benefit of having free trade, or just they produce and consume them the product by themselves? So according to David Ricardo, no. So actually state can still be better to do free trade rather than producing everything by themselves. So for example, like Indonesia are good in producing agricultural products and also technology. Malaysia also the same, but in terms of the agricultural products, it's still under Indonesia. In terms of technology, it's still under, it's not as competitive as Indonesia. So according to David Ricardo, still better off. They are still still better off if they are doing international trade. So comparative advantage, meaning that Indonesia, if they compare the agricultural productions and technological production, which one is more efficient? And Indonesia, for example, agricultural for Indonesia is more efficient. So Indonesia should devote themselves, their resources in producing agricultural products, and compared to Malaysia, who are more efficient in technological product, although compared to Indonesia, they're still less efficient. But if they are focusing their resources, their money, their people on producing their technological products and do free trade with Indonesia, so both countries will again benefit. So just taking from the your what's it, arguments in your previous assignments on free what's it, rich countries, poor countries. Some of you use example of Singapore. Some of you use I guess like those Netherlands, European countries, that they are very open in terms of their economy. They're open to investment, foreign investment. They also export thing, they import thing. So this is the idea from the most of the economists. If you study international economics, you study economy. So this is their main advice or suggestion, that if you want to become rich countries, become successful, you need to be liberals in terms of your economy. Open up your markets, open up for foreign investments, and also at the same time you are competing with other countries, not using political tools or political or policy to protect your economies, rather than you support that for having fair competitions, and so you will have a good benefit. So this is the first arguments in terms of the international economy. And the second is, yeah, about the cultural trait attributes. Cultures can be religions, values, or anything. Basically the ideas of how countries become successful, become rich, become poor, or become unsuccessful, and vice versa, is because of the certain values, certain worldview on their cultural heritage. Or so some countries having cultures that contrary to the rational economic decision making, that make them traditional, they can make them economy is not efficient, and so that's why they are very poor in some of that. And if you remember some of the discussion about Chinese success, so some attribute the success in some of their Confucian values, meaning that they focus on their work hard. It's not about the individual freedom, it's not about individual liberty, but it's more a communal ethics, that you work hard and you see a country as a families, and okay, so you loyal to your companies. So this is the kind of the values that bring benefit to the society. So the factors for being rich or poor countries, one theory is an IPE focusing on their social or cultural values. The third discussions is, okay, so this is from mercantilistic perspective or approach or answers about how to become rich countries or poor countries. So when we talk about Bretton Woods systems, many liberals attribute extreme mercantilistic policy of countries as the main factors for having trade war, and thereon we have World War One and World War Two. But according to mercantilist approach, that okay, you cannot become rich countries unless the state are intentionally support the business or the economy. So rather than like kind of liberals' arguments that states should be stay away from economy to make it more efficient, monopolistic economy. So mercantilist thinkers, you need to have strong state intervention of a strong state in your economy. And many historians address that all those countries that now are very successful in economy, initially they are very mercantilistic, so they protect their industries from their foreign competitions. They support in some of like giving like them or soft loans, industrial policy support in some of the, or is it like lenience in some of a lot of facilities. Basically, the idea is to nurture local domestic industries that later on during the in the free trade in the global trade they will win the competitions. So the mercantilist basically doesn't do not oppose free trade, but they see free trade or international trade as a competition. You need to have good strategy, strong support from the state in order to become successful. So you cannot just lay your faith on invisible hand, just like what liberals argue about international economy. The last argument is that rich countries or poor countries is not because of the values, the cultural trait of the people. It's not about the invisible hand or the free trade that you have. It's not about the how state are being, supportive to local industry or not, but because of the international system are locked in some of like exploitative positions, meaning that developing countries cannot reach a certain level or same level as developed countries because the system and the institutions, the relations are being designed to give a benefit to the winner already. So rather than external internal factors, is the external factors. So countries are they have no choice rather than selling their raw materials, raw products, and they have to pay import products very expensive, and this create a wealth. So international trade actually bringing more wealth, bringing prosperity to the developed countries rather than developing countries. So this is the structuralist arguments. So basically the way for countries to become successful or rich, there's no other way rather than you have to cut the ties with those developed countries. So if we see or like reflect on our history, Indonesian history, we have this moment of the when during President Sukarno, we kind of stop our relations or cut our relations with these capitalist countries with the arguments that those capitalist countries not only colonize the countries Indonesia politically, but because also economically, and although they already move and being kicked out from the countries, the exploitative relationship in terms of economy still maintains. So the only ways that we have to berdikari, mandiri, meaning that we cut the relation with the capitalist countries. Later on, during President Suharto, we are starting very liberals in terms that we open up economy and also will mix a little bit later on mix that with the very mercantilistic in terms of the President Suharto also supporting domestic industry in certain sectors to develop a conglomerate, develop a certain industry that will be supportive to the national economy. So there move from one's perspective. Each country that they don't have very one definitive approach on that. But in general, I just want to kind of review a bit your understanding about theories in international political economy. We have structuralist approach in terms of seeing the international trade, the global trade and finance as an exploitative relationship. And before that we have the mercantilist kind of uh, see similar in one hand with the structuralists, but they are not opposing free trade per se, but actually you need to have a better strategy and you need to have a strong shape to become successful in this competitions. And the third perspective is focusing on the culture. So if you want to develop your country, you have to invest on education, change the people mindset, give them training so they become more, or say, moderns. They see about their, or say, positively in some of their development, so not traditional. So you change the people mindset. The last thing is the one that most countries currently are being designed, or they agree in terms of how free trade are tools or medium for success. So I think most of the countries now is very focus on they've taken this kind of approach with certain combinations, but basically the existence of WTO, the regional institutions, organization, basically the idea if by having economic relation through free trade is actually bring benefit to the countries. So from these four theories, which ones explain the most for your case in terms of why your country is rich and why your countries are poor? So this is the theory about the IPE. So I hope that help you refresh a bit about what I understanding about theory of IPE.